Hi, it's Dean West. We have a really interesting world that we're living in right now. And one of the things that always keeps me going is when I just close my eyes, take a second, take a deep breath, and just remind myself, don't go out there. Just don't go out there.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. Just want to thank all of our fans and listeners. Really appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's film review, just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I want to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We hope you enjoy the episode. All right, guys, get into the film review. You thought we were done with Thriller Month, but we got one more thriller. We're going to be taking on legendary blood donor Dana Tucker's choice of 2008's Untraceable. I'll give my general thoughts. I might have been the only person who's seen this movie before going into this review. I'm not sure if Brian and Dustin have or not. But this just reminds me kind of like a Saw light movie. I came out in the midst of the Saw franchise releasing every year. I enjoy this movie still. Is it perfect? Is it groundbreaking? Is it predictable? Yes. But do I still have fun with it? I sure do. I think it's a fun little watch, and I enjoy this movie. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. Once I started watching it, things kind of started coming back to me, but not enough that it didn't still feel like a first-time watch again. So, but yeah, I liked it too. I didn't necessarily love it, but I enjoyed it. I definitely had some issues with it, but it almost reminded me, like you said, of a less gory Saw movie, but much less dark. If I was going to say if that makes any sense, but obviously it does to you. I like what it had to say as a movie for sure. I think we can all agree with its message. I mean, I think Dustin even brought it up on point number 1 of that birthday bonus the other day about, it's funny that it's such a statement on the cesspool that is the internet and the world way back in 2008. And it's probably even more relevant today. So nothing super stand out about cinematography, but that's not necessarily bad. It just means it didn't stand out as bad as well as good. So it's not bad at all. Very solid flick.
That's so funny that you said that, Brian, that you think you've seen it. And Nico, you said you think you're the only one that's seen it. You're not sure. I'm not sure either. I remember this movie. I remember when this movie came out. I remember when it came out, but I couldn't remember if I'd seen it or not. And to be honest, I still don't know. It seems like I did, but I just couldn't remember any of it. Like you said, Brian, as I'm watching it, felt like a first time watch, but there was something familiar to it. Maybe that's because a lot of the story, not the internet, not the take on it, but the bones of the story is something that we have seen countless times. It's to me, it's just a pretty standard crime thriller. That's not a bad thing or a knock. It's just like you said, Nico, it's not anything groundbreaking. I don't think there's anything that stands out good or bad in the film. So I think it's a fine film. But I do want to say, shout out to Diane Lane. She's been in some movies that I love, like Hardball and The Outsiders, and she was also in the Elite miniseries Lonesome Dove, which I know Nico's seen. But yeah, I thought it was a fine movie.
Wasn't she in that movie with Harrison Ford, something. God damn, what was the name of that movie? It was like,
She was in Murder at 1600.
okay, so it's Harrison Ford, but it's like it has something to do with a lake, and it was like some murder, or some
Are you talking
like
about What Lies
fucking
Beneath?
yeah.
That's not
Was
her.
that not
That's
her?
not her. It's Michelle Pfeiffer.
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
you know what she was in? Because when I was looking at Diane Lane's filmography earlier, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that movie. That's something that I could definitely see us reviewing. Unfaithful. Did you see that
That's the
movie?
one I'm talking about. That's the one I'm talking about.
Oh,
Richard
okay.
Gere.
That's it.
Richard
Oh,
Gere.
okay. So it's Richard Gere. It's not not
Yeah.
Harrison Ford. Okay. So yeah, that's the one I was talking about. All right.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I'm down.
Have you ever heard the story about Richard Gere and the gerbil? Go ahead, Nico.
Yes. Let's go.
All right, let's get into the scene by scene. The film starts with a cat's meow as we see someone set up a trap in a basement to catch said cat. He lets it free from the cage and it gets stuck on like a sticky pad. A light is shown on it and it shrieks. Title card as Jennifer Marsh makes it into the Department of Defense. We see people working on computers as Marsh links up with Griffin Dowd. He brags on his first date as she roasts him. They seem like they have a fun little work office thing going on. Marsh shows him her screen full of pop-ups as a hacker works on her system, but she's setting him up for failure. She calls the police department and has the police go check out her suspect. Dowd goes to go get her some coffee as Marsh checks out the request from the police department. FBI invades a home, catching the guy Marsh was after. Marsh realizes the case is a live stream and she gets a call from the police that Barrow was caught and the hard drive is still intact. Next day, Marsh is driving and uses OnStar to find a quicker route home. She gets home and hugs her little girl as she apologizes for being late. She walks her to the school bus as Mama proves she doesn't have soft hands tilling up the dirt. Marsh lies down and is greeted by her cat until she gets up and goes to her computer. She enters the live stream and sees the cat still stuck and reads the chat. She shows her boss the live stream as Dowd reports the cat was snatched up. Whoever reported the site is a local and wants attention, per Dowd. Marsh shows Richard the IP changes and the site can't be shut down. Dowd says the site is in Russia, they have no jurisdiction, and Richard shoots it down, not being that important. It's just a cat. A man meeting with a guy for a ticket at the hockey rink is stunned in the neck and thrown into a van. Marsh is called at home and runs inside to her computer, seeing the live stream doesn't have a cat this time. It's the man from the hockey game. Her daughter almost walks in and sees it, but Grandma stops her and then escorts her away. Brian, that's opening set of scenes. What'd you think?
Man, fuck this opening. Like, I hate it when people hurt animals, man. I mean, listen, I'll eat them, but I don't want to think about it. It kind of reminds me of that PETA billboard where it's like, where do you draw the line? Someone drew the line right after a horse or something like that. That cracks my ass up. Anyway, fuck this guy already, though. There are some sickos out there for sure. Hey, Colin Hanks, though, man. Insert Leo pointing at the screen meme here. Orange County is one of my favorite comedies of all time. Colin will always be on my thumbs up list. I don't care what movie he is. It's good to see my guy here. At one point, I fan casted him into a Ghostbusters 3 script treatment I wrote decades ago now. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, I really enjoyed watching them take down this dude with the cyber crimes division. Like, I'm not sure it's that quick and easy, but probably not that realistic, but very cool to watch anyway. I know they had real FBI training behind the scenes, but I just mean like the computer stuff, the tracking, the turnaround time. I think that was a little exaggerated there, but editing wise, very cool transition from Jennifer hitting enter on the Kill With Me website to SWAT busting down the door on that Barrow residence. Almost a jump scare there. I really liked it. Um, Something though, OnStar, I think places the movie for sure on a timeline. I know there's a reason, and it comes back later, but that Windows Vista, I did notice that. The writers Robert Flavolent and Mark Brinker, Allison Burnett, I think they tried to be like super high tech for the time with the script, like using the convo, talking about an Evite and dropping computer slang just all over the place. But all it does to me now is just make it very of the time, in my opinion. I think less is more, but it reminds me of that just starting out web designer who like just learned how to make text scroll and GIFs flash and they're all over the website. Like, I don't know, I just didn't love the choices there. Regardless though, great open. I just kind of wish we had a little more time going through the like maybe some more random cyber crimes before the Kill With Me website kind of came into play and escalated so damn quick. Even adding some to this maybe pretty short runtime to do it, I would have been fine with that.
very ominous and dramatic score for the open. It's perfect for a crime thriller. We also get a pretty cool look at how the feds track and catch online fraud in the open, and I like the cuts back and forth from Jennifer in the office to the SWAT team's raid. I thought that was cool. Yeah, you mentioned it. We get the OnStar ad. I wonder how much they paid for that, because it didn't matter to the story at all. I get what you're saying, like it kind of comes back into play later, but that could have, I don't know, that could have just been a cell phone call. It didn't have to be OnStar. And but this movie is how I learned that OnStar is still in business. I was shocked to learn that. I wonder if anyone we know actually gives them $35 a month. Like they have multiple packages, 35 is all inclusive. I don't know anyone. Probably Mike.
Probably
Yeah.
Mike.
They introduced the family aspect for Marsh here, which builds in higher stakes. We automatically just care more about her because she's got a little girl that she's raising on her own. And then the action picks up. We go from a cat getting let out of the bag called life to a guy getting tased and kidnapped and strung up on a live stream when all he wanted was a hockey ticket. It's a solid enough open.
Marsh tells Richard of the new happening on the live stream. The man bound is being tortured with small cuts and is being fed anticoagulants. The more visitors to the website, the more of the drug is administered. Richard is skeptical due to a snuff film sent to them last year as we see the victim suffering. Detective Eric Box makes it to Miss Miller's house. The two go outside to talk as we see Herbert Miller bleeding very badly. Eric and Miss Miller have small talk, and he tells her not to talk to the press. It's only making it worse. Marsh and Dowd discuss the situation, and he shows her the first post about the site. Dowd discovers that they're being messed with. The killer wants them to know they're after them using the local Chinese restaurant's website. Richard doesn't seem to be taking the site seriously as he walks out. Eric and Marsh fill each other in with what they know. Eric tells Marsh the cat's owner was a piece of shit as we see the website get over 6 million viewers. Herbert Miller has died from blood loss and the chat is laughing. The killer warns there is more to come. Overhead shots of Portland until a man finds Herbert's dead body in their car. Police and Eric arrive as we realize the man who found him was a congressman's son. The killer is wanting as many eyes on this as possible. Eric gets an anonymous tip as he and Marsh go separate ways. Eric and his partners go check in with Arthur James Elmer. They ask to see his basement. They see some sketchy imagery and discover he likes movies, and as we say, support cinema. Never mind, he's burning his own copies, dipshit. Marsh says Eric Elmer wasn't guilty. He had an alibi. He was in a chat room all day. Marsh calls Dowd discussing the case some, and she says see him Sunday for Annie's birthday. He asks if he can bring a date, and she agrees. Annie shows Mama the computer game she's playing as we cut to the skating rink. Dowd brings pizza to the party as Marsh immediately starts talking about the Kill With Me website. Dave Williams knocks on the door as a nerdy, evil-looking guy opens the door and lets him in. That's the next set of scenes. What'd you think, Brian?
I liked hearing you real time realize that this guy went from, oh, he supports cinema, he's my friend, to, oh, he's burning, he's Mike. Fuck that guy. It's funny. Anyway, I mean, I do like the message of this movie. I kind of talked about in my open, the movie's sending, and honestly, just how ahead of its time it even was. But I mean, shit, I guess humanity always has been awful, and it's probably time the good Lord sent another flood. But yeah, internet's a cesspool, not very good review talk, as Nico calls it. But I just thought I'd throw that out there. Now, here's probably where you guys are gonna bail and not be in on it with me. A little bit of a hot take, a couple of casting takes I'm gonna have. Maybe a hot take, I don't know. But first of all, Billy Burke reminds me of Luke Perry. So I don't know if you guys saw that, but watch it again, you'll agree with me. Here's maybe a hot take, big nitpick of mine. I don't love Diane Lane in this role. Like, I think she was mid 40s when this came out. I've loved her. She's a great actress. But, I don't know, just honestly carried herself like she was in her 50s in this movie. And I would have maybe picked Eva Mendes of this time, Jennifer Garner of this time. I don't know. I didn't love Diane Lane in it. She didn't come across as like that FBI agent that I needed to see. I was looking for Jodie Foster from Silence, and I got Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates. So I don't know. And maybe she's cybercrime, but still, I wanted a little bit more of a badass. I did laugh at the FBI warning on the burnt CD. It made me laugh. And then so did that line, I have a big date tonight. Big special or big large? great lines there. Also, birthday party wise, can I ask what exactly did Detective Box bring to quote unquote Griffin's birthday party that he thought it was going to be? the same, whatever gift that was, he just gave over to Jennifer for her kid. I would love to
Yeah,
know. I would love to know what that was. But anyway,
same.
I'm glad somebody else noticed that.
Yeah, the captain or whatever he was, Brooks, I think is his name. His attitude annoyed me so much. Like first he
Oh
didn't
yeah.
care about the cat, and then the way he doubted the authenticity of what he was seeing here. Like I wonder how many crimes could have been prevented or have gone unsolved in Portland because of his attitude. I thought that they were supposed to take everything seriously and nothing's a coincidence. Come on. Jim Gordon would never. The plot thickens nicely when we find out the IP was the office's favorite restaurant. Like he's definitely playing a sick game here. That was a nice touch. It annoyed me when Box kind of brushed it off when Marsh wondered why Miller was picked, but then turns right around and said he wants to know why the suspect stole that specific cat. Like, what are we doing here? He literally brushed that question off when she's like, why Miller? And then he's like, oh, why the cat? Oh. And then imagine finding a mutilated corpse in the back of your vehicle as you head out for the day. Like that's just another reason why I always lock my truck doors every time I get out of it. Very unsettling choice to show Marsh having dinner with her family through the window. Like it makes it feel like she's being watched. That's a great call. Uh, Here's maybe a hot take. Griffin's ladies' man routine was kind of annoying to me. Like it felt shoehorned in. Like he talks so much about all these dates. It's like you could have just had him say one time, I'm bringing a date to the birthday party," and then the rest of the way it plays out, like he has to run, and then she calls him. He thinks she calls him later. That works just fine. You don't have to have him talk about all these dates. I don't know. It's weird. And then we see Dave, that no good Ted Beneke. I hate that guy. Uh, Shout out to Breaking Bad. I'm invested and I'm ready to see how it plays out from here.
Yeah, bear with me. This is the most I have on a set of scenes. Back to the party, and Eric arrives. He gives Marsh a present and goes to leave, but is told to get some pizza. Dave and the unknown creepy fella have an awkward conversation until he tells Dave about his father passing away and how they built contraptions together. He shocks Dave in the neck and he falls down the basement stairs. Creepy Nerd is setting up another trap with concrete this time as Marsh and Dowd's phones blow up. Marsh tells Annie she has to go. It's an emergency and she'll make it up to her. Dave is bound to a chair as some skaters realize his friend's dad is the one in the trap. Marsh and Richard debate on how to handle the situation, and he doesn't listen to our pleas. Dave is surrounded by heat lamps that are burning his skin. Richard addresses the city on the news and tells them about the newest victim. The more site visitors, the faster he's killed. Anyone who visits the site is an accomplice to murder. They hear the victim voicing the address on stream and they all go into action. They break into the home and the killer panics. They scope the place out and find nothing except a laptop showing the press conference. Marsh and Eric chat and he asks, when did the world go insane? That's a good question, brother. Unbeknownst to them, the killer is in the crowd watching them on the scene. Marsh is back home and Mama tells her Annie is asleep. Eric shows Marsh a newspaper and they didn't print the website's name, thankfully. He reveals to her that her dead husband was a great guy. The officers discuss the killer and his tactics. Eric doesn't seem to take him seriously as he should. Dowd shows her all the previous footage he's uploaded to shock sites. The killer is looking up at pictures of Marsh and her family now on his computer. Next morning, Annie wakes up and turns on the TV, but none of the channels are working. She sees on the computer a camera looking at their house. She sees the camera zooming in on the window she's standing by, and she runs downstairs like a dumb kid would, as her mom doesn't take her seriously in the shower. Annie goes outside to explore as the phone rings. Marsh panics, seeing the computer, and grabs her gun. Marsh yells for Annie and scolds her for going outside. Marsh finds the camera, knocking it over, and she's told to chill. That's evidence. She's asked whose car it is, and they find Dave's charred body. The chat explodes, seeing this all go down, and he asks the chat if they really thought he'd let them hurt that little girl. Brian, that's the next set of scenes. What do you think?
Well, some more nitpicks here. Can I say how I kind of wish that we didn't know who the killer was? I mean, I was kind of honestly wishing it was Griffin, if I'm being honest. I kind of think that would have been a nice whodunit little twist. And I know this was made in 2008, but like you guys mentioned, it's definitely a throwback to those 90s crime thrillers that we've done before. You know, Chris Kiss the Girls, all of those. I just personally think it would have been better as a whodunit. You know, that's all. But hey, Joseph Cross, the killer, Mindhunter. I've got to rewatch that to make sure it's not too slow for the show, but it's on my list to pick for the series show. I might go with that. But um, listen, Griffin, when Aaron Caruso shows up for a date, and that's who played Melanie, maybe you play that like, hey, I'm an FBI agent, big break in the case right now. I'm sorry I've got to run. I mean, that's how I would have played it anyway. She would have loved the FBI part, make herself feel important, keep her on the line. Hey, what can I say? Something else I didn't care for. I didn't care for the skate park thing. Seemed odd and out of place. Just the guy saying, "Todd, isn't that your dad?" I'm like, what? What was the point of that? Come on. And Dustin, I'm so glad you brought this up because this is kind of where I rant a little bit about Richard Brooks. He fucking pissed me off. He is the dumbest supervising FBI agent of all time. Maybe it's realistic. Hell, I don't know. All the shit that's come out about the FBI lately in 2025. Anyway, maybe helps prove the movie is correct. But she tries to tell him that promoting the site will get more viewers, therefore kill him faster, and he blows it off so they can call a press conference? Like, what? You've seen it already in action. You know it's true. And honestly, that makes zero sense as a call. Like when he said, "You honestly think that could happen?" I was like, "Motherfucker, what are you talking about? You were there." Like, I don't know. That really bugged me. Also another nitpick. I wonder how this little skinny fucker moved that body from 8808 to the other basement. Has anyone ever tried to move dead weight like that? It's hard. Zero belief that guy pulled it off. And last thing, also absolute lunacy, the way that Jennifer acts when she finds out it's her house. Don't even go to the computer first. You look, find your kid foremost. I mean, Jesus Christ. Plus, she's like walking down the stairs after she took
Yeah.
all the time to get her gun. Just a lot of nitpicks in the set of scenes for me.
Yeah. First of all, you said something there. I have a question. How many dead bodies have you moved?
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Don't worry about that.
Griffin inviting Box to the party, that felt forced. It's like they were planting seeds for a love interest just for the sake of having one, and it didn't even come to fruition. Like, I don't know. Just Box could have been anywhere in the city when he got the call, like everyone else got. He didn't have to be there. It was just pointless. And then Dave might be the least perceptive guy in history. Look at Owen. Look at his demeanor. I would have left immediately. Like, that dude's creepy. There's no way I would have went through that house with him.
That motherfucker wanted a train. He wanted that fucking train. God damn it.
Yeah, I guess. He's called Bonnie Blue then, because this train didn't work out for him.
God damn.
Marsh introducing Box to her daughter as her friend at the party. Like, you just met the guy and you don't know him, and we're just full force ahead, huh? Like, nothing in their first encounter led us to believe that there's any scenario where he would stay at the party or she would want him to stay at the party. I don't know. It annoyed me. Then I know what I said about Ted Beneke. Didn't like him in Breaking Bad, but death by heat lamp, that seems extreme. That's a brutal way to go. Good scenes showing the investigative process here. Nothing really groundbreaking, but it's well done and honestly hard to take notes on. The stuff with Box and Marsh again just seems unnecessary. Having him talk about how he knew her husband and whatnot, like, just stick to the story. Don't add these new detours that don't matter. Owen looking at the pictures of Annie after hacking Marsh's computer, that's a great way to make us hate him even more. What a scumbag. And then we get a TiVo shout out. And just like OnStar, I wonder how much they paid for that. Annie seeing her house on the computer is creepy, and Marsh annoyed me a lot with how she handled it. Like you said, Brian, like, if you don't get out of that shower, this ain't no time for a spa day. And where's Granny during this? Also, it took her so long to get downstairs. The scene annoyed me more than it added good tension for me. Like, I just didn't like it, and it was supposed to be impactful.
Exactly.
I will say that when they go out and they find the flayed body, the charred body in the trunk, that one of those cops in that scene was an actual cop that they consulted, and he actually auditioned because the actor that they had couldn't get it right or something. But anyway, it was his idea to have them react to the smell like they smelled something. So that's cool. Yeah, the story's moving along nicely, though. And it's an okay set of scenes, despite how slowly she got down the stairs.
I might have lied about the last set being the most because I'm looking at a lot for number 4 too. But so here we go. Marsh shows Eric the game Annie downloaded, but had a backdoor Trojan that's giving him access to all her files. And I know Brian, the IT guy, is losing his shit right now. Annie and Stella are taken away into protective custody as Eric asks why isn't she going with him. He says Annie has already lost one parent to the job. I wouldn't blame you if you sat this one out. Marsh's phone rings and she talks to Dowd for a bit as he gets another call from Melanie who doesn't sound real. It's revealed it's the killer using like an AI voice to talk to him. Marsh gets to work later and there's no Dowd. Oh no, Dowd has been captured and he's the next victim. He's been bound to a chair in a pool of water. Marsh is given the bad news from the NSA. They don't have access to the supercomputer. Shit hits the fan as they realize Griffin Dowd is the next victim. He's in a pool of water that's being fed sulfuric acid. Millions of viewers visit the website as Richard is on the phone pleading for help. The killer voices the Dowd, and I thought this was creepy as hell. You know, if no one was watching, you'd just be sitting in water. But the whole world wants to watch you die, and they don't even know you. Dowd's flesh begins melting away as millions of viewers tune in. The killer leaves a bit disgusted as Dowd begins performing Morse code with his eyes. Dowd succumbs to his wounds as the whole office watches on. Marsh is talking to her daughter as someone knocks on her motel door. It's Eric, and he's got delivery. Room 237. Shout out to The Shining, Brian's Goat, Stanley by Stanley Kubrick. She takes a shower. That's the second episode tonight. I got you with a Shining jab. She takes a shower before she eats, then she joins Eric at the table. He tells her the acid was stolen from a college and Dow was baited with a phone call. Marsh breaks down saying she's not good at losing people. She awakes with Eric beside her and she gets the Morse code message, "Our Suicide," and begins researching. She searches suicide and finds a clip titled "Rush Hour Suicide." Eric tells her he was there about a week ago meeting with a fella about a car. He just so happened to teach chemistry at the college with the stolen acid. Marsh tells the other officers about Andrew Kilburn, whose account was hacked after his death to promote the website. Marsh shows James Riley, who was witness of Herbert Miller's suicide. The diner employee sold the victim's glasses, and the only station who didn't apologize was Channel 12. Marsh connects all the victims to Andrew Kilburn. Owens is his son, who they believe is the one behind the site. How about we arrest this piece of shit? And the next set of scenes is the ending. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of rolled my eyes here when we got that classic. I know something, but I won't tell you on the
Yeah.
phone. I'll tell you later. But guess what? I won't be around to tell you. That old cliche. Like, I don't know. I just, from Griffin, I didn't really care for that. I saw that writing from a million miles away. I wish they would have gone a bit different route with that one. And yeah, we went a little Scream 3 here with the voice changer thing, didn't we? Like, I didn't really buy it then, not really buying it in 2008 either. Now, with AI in 2025, sure, absolutely. But in 2008, nah. Also, you kind of think that this briefing that tells everyone, who the killer is would be a little bit more rushed, wouldn't you? I don't know. It just seems a little more, seems a little nonchalant about it. I don't know. I guess it just they didn't have a victim. So, yeah, in their defense, but I don't know. It struck me as odd. But again, maybe realistic. Maybe. I don't know. Not much. I don't really have on this set of scenes. Just a little fun fact, and I'll shut up. But when Griffin dies, his birth date is listed as 11/23, 1976. Colin Hanks's actual birth date is 11/24/77. So off by only 1 day and 1 year.
Yeah, Griffin telling Marsh that he had a lead but wanted to check it out more. Like, yeah, just like you, Brian, that annoyed me because we've seen it 100 times. Look, I have crucial development. I'll tell you about it later. And then they get got before they can share it. Another example of that is like the one that comes to mind when I think of that scenario is the Lincoln Lawyer with William H. Macy's character. It's the same thing. There's plenty of other examples, and I just don't ever want to see that again in movies. Griffin could have just got nabbed without that phone call. We don't need it. Also, while he's in the tub, look, wasn't he the guy that said he wished the guy earlier was a scout so he could blink in Morse code? Why wasn't he blinking sooner? Like, he should have been doing that as soon as he realized that he was on stream or whatever. Like, he waited until he was almost dead. That annoyed me. Box showing up to dinner or showing up with dinner to Marsh's motel. He ain't slick. And then her showering as soon as he got there. She ain't slick. Well, these two just do it already. And they wake up in the same bed. Who could have predicted? Seeing Griffin's Morse code message was a thinker. Our suicide. Look, this ain't no time for riddles, Edward Nigma. Tell me what you're trying to say. Marsh laying out the pieces of to the puzzle for the office. That was great. What a tangled web, and I'm ready for the finish.
Nico, who's it? Edward Nigma?
That
Enigma.
ain't that Jim Carrey from Batman?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
What's
Very
his
nice.
character name?
Very nice.
It was the Riddler, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
I told you I've
So
seen those
proud of
movies.
you.
That's the one with Val Kilmer and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, wasn't it? Yeah, I loved that movie as a kid. Yep.
So proud.
Yeah.
So
Nicole
proud of
Kidman.
you.
That's a good movie, and I've said it before, but O'Shea Jackson Jr., his character in Ingrid Goes West, is obsessed with Batman Forever, and I'm just so happy that movie gets its flowers when it can.
Yeah, I like that. I like that one. That's one of the ones I grew up on. All right, here's the ending. Police raid the house in pursuit of Owen. Basement's clear, but Eric finds Dowd's body that's been destroyed by acid. News reports that the suspected killer is Owen Riley. Richard talks to Marsh and says she's given enough and asks her to come to take some time off. He tells her to join her family for a week, but she says she will for a day. Bro, if my job told me to take a week off, say less. Marsh is back to her motel and the vibes are off. She checks her closet and no one's there, but she gets her cat and skedaddles. However, her car breaks down on the road and her phone isn't working now. Owen's voice speaks through the OnStar, speaking on his father's death being right there. He criticizes the police for their practices and she apologizes to him. She breaks out the window and escapes the car. She makes a call and is connected to Eric, who tells her he's sending help and not to move. Marsh goes back to the car to investigate, but is got with a stun gun from the back seat. She's being dragged across the floor, gagged and hands tied. A winch lifts her up by the ankles where she hangs in the air upside down. Eric looks over the side of the bridge looking for clues. Owen tells her executions will be live to our computers' phones, etc. very soon for cheap. He points a gun at her, saying executions will have no trouble finding sponsors since it gets so many viewers. Eric searches the VW van of Owen's as Richard and the rest of the office watches the website. Owen is furious her death will be faster since she's a woman. The office panics seeing Marsh on screen. Eric is called and is told Marsh is on the site. Millions of viewers tune in as she's lowered slowly toward the tiller blades. Marsh sways her body around to avoid the blades as 17 plus million viewers tune in. They realize she's being held in her own basement. She grabs hold of a pipe and blasts him with hot water. She turns off the winch and begins elbowing him in the back. The two squabble and he knocks her to the ground. He grabs the blades to kill her, but she draws her gun and shoots him several times, killing him. She holds her badge to the camera as more and more threads pouring. And that's the ending. Brian, what'd you think?
Dustin, going back to the last set of scenes, when you were talking about why didn't he blink Morse code earlier? It made me think like I thought that was a really cheap setup that where they had him say that at the beginning anyway. I mean, you could have just had somebody in that meeting recognize it as Morse code, and I don't know, it came
Yeah,
across as a
no,
cheap setup to me.
I'm with you there.
Okay. As far as this ending goes, I got to call this out too before I just go into what I think about the ending here. When Box gets the call about Jennifer being held captive and he says, "Send it to me." Send it to you? Just go to the fucking website, dude. Like what? I mean, like what are we doing here? Anyway, not a bad ending. The fight between Marsh and Owen in the basement when her hands were tied and she's like beating on his back with the double-fisted Captain Kirk hits. I don't know. It wasn't believable to me. I think she would have been killed easily. I would have liked to have seen a little bit better choreography there, fight choreography there. The fight, I mean, the movie just kind of ended a little abruptly
Yeah.
for my taste too. Like maybe have a scene with Box and Marsh and family grilling out or something. I don't know. It was just kind of like boom, done. But I mean, not a bad movie.
Yeah, tense scene as they raid the house and find Griffin's body. Yeah, it's a brutal look too. All the flesh gone, just bones under the water. But and then a very typical scene where they're close to catching the bad guy, and the boss demands the main character take some time off or pulls them off the case. Like we've seen that 100 times, just like in Rush Hour 2. Like it annoys me.
Hard.
Die Hard, like countless movies. Tense scene when Marsh gets to her motel and the place seemed like Owen had been there, but it was all for naught. And then the scene on the bridge, it was tense too. Like her car shut down, no cell phone, and then he tapped her GPS and talked through OnStar, I guess, and that's good stuff. But I will say, Owen's aggression seems to be misplaced though. Like the FBI is who you're mad at for the way your dad's death went viral, really. And then I know one thing: she is a pretty terrible FBI agent. First, her daughter was exposed to danger at the house earlier, and she just lollygags down the stairs. And now she didn't even clear the vehicle when she got in it. Hadn't she seen Urban Legend? And then it magically started back up, and she doesn't even think like, "Oh, it's not a trap. I'm good to go." Like it's just dumb to me. Pretty brutal trap that he's got set up for her. But I kind of got to laugh at Box here. Like they're instructing everyone in the country, stay off this website. Anyone goes to the website, even for a second, it helps kill someone. Stay off the website. So the first thing that he says to Brooks is, "Yo, send the link, bro." Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And then when Box said that's her own basement, like no one thought to go there before. Like it seems like they would have sent a unit or two to her house just to check it out, look for some kind of clue. But no, she's like, "Oh, that's her basement. We should go there." Who knew? And I know it wasn't supposed to be funny, but when she held the badge up to the camera, I laughed. Like she held it there for so long. She's just like, "Oh, my badge. See it," and it just like it felt like it was never ending. And there's something else I didn't put in my notes, but I thought was funny too. She's hanging upside down. Her shirt wasn't tucked in, but it was staying up. Give me a break. Give me a break. But it is a very abrupt ending, considering we never got a payoff for Box. And what I mean by that is, was she actually in her own basement? Because we never even saw them in the same shot. We saw him navigating to the basement, and then we saw her save herself. So was that a decoy basement? Was that the right place? What happened with that? And then their little love game. It was pointless. Like they planted these seeds throughout the whole movie, like they're going to end up together, and it's just like roll credits. But all in all, I know it doesn't sound like it, but I didn't think it was a bad movie at all.
All right, let's jump into our social media comments and questions. I'll knock out the old Instagrams first. We only got one comment from Horrorhead Heather 85. Big fan of the show. Appreciate you commenting, Heather. When I saw this movie for the first time in 2008, I was like, no, people wouldn't watch the videos or ask like that. Poor naive 2008 Heather with a bunch of laughing emojis. Jump to 2025. Yeah, I can see people doing that shit. Yeah, people are awful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We just got one on X. And it's from that guy, Mailhouse14108. He says, "I enjoy this movie. Many subplots, including internet vulnerability and how media cares only for the ratings and not those involved." Amen, brother. We saw that in Nightcrawler 2. Creative torturous traps with good gore. If Jigsaw says he'd never killed anyone, then neither did Owen. It was the people watching. Solid pick, 7.5 out of 10.
Good point. All right, we just have one on the Book of Faces, Matthew Heffer. This is one of those films that you can start watching at any point and keep watching until the end, like, Bone Collector. Traps are kind of like Saw Light, gory but not overly bloody. Diane Lane, very watchable, gives a good performance. Is it me or does she get better looking every year? I have really liked this March's theme, a brief detour before we head back down the highway of more horror. Keep up the good work, all of you. You have a lot of fans over here in the UK. Wow, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Lovely.
That's awesome, man. Y'all got any fun facts you want to share?
All right, I had the one about room 237 as well, but I know we all caught that. So Nico said it. But the other one I have is that the website used by the killer, killwithme.com, it actually existed. It was owned by the movie studio, and it was used to promote the film. In it, the users were taken to a replica of the FBI computer used by Jennifer Marsh. Her desktop gets hacked by the killer, who provides the visitor with 4 tests he or she must complete to deactivate his website. The content has now been removed, though, and the domain name is available for sale or lease. I thought that's great marketing. I love when movie studios do stuff like that. Oh, and the other one I have is that Diane Lane was in Wild Bill with David Arquette.
Oh, nice. I've never seen that.
Nor have I.
The only one I had was Colin Hanks' character mentions Peggy, the secretary, as an upcoming date. That's actually a nod to Hanks' appearance on Mad Men the year before. Hanks plays Father John Gill, a priest who becomes acquainted with Peggy, the secretary, played by Elizabeth Moss.
I got the budget.
Great show.
I'll read the budget off real quick. According to IMDb, the budget was a $35 million estimated, and gross worldwide, it made $52,933,513. I don't know, I felt like some Louisiana preacher just took over me when I started reading them numbers. Go ahead.
Thought I was back in True Detective.
All right, let's jump into our favorite kill, least favorite kill, and the rating. I'll kick us off. Favorite kill for me, I got to go with the heat lamp guy. Man, that was rough. That shit would be terrible. Least favorite kill, I think we might all be in this together. Got to go with the cat. Got to go with the cat. That cat,
Right?
That cat didn't deserve to
Yes.
get killed like that. But anywho, like I mentioned at the beginning, this is just a fine little crime thriller to me. Like, I'm glad Dana picked this one. I've always enjoyed it, had fun with it. I gave it a 7.5.
Okay. I'll go ahead and go real quick. Favorite kill, I guess, was Ted Beneke. That was brutal. The heat lamps. I know his name wasn't Ted Beneke in this movie, but that's what he'll always be to me. Least favorite kill was the cat. Yeah, I mean, this movie, even though there's multiple kills in it, that's not really the point of the movie. As far as my final thoughts on the rating, like, I think it's solid for what it is. Like, it's a pretty standard crime thriller. I voiced my issues with it, but I don't mind the movie at all. I gave it a 6.
Okay. My favorite kill, I actually picked Colin Hanks. I thought the acid and his skin coming off, I thought that looked great. Although painful wise, I would have probably gone with the same one you did there, Nico. Um, least favorite kill, that fucking cat. I wrote damn you writers, damn you. That's what I wrote. But a lot more nitpicks than I expected. It's not a bad movie by any means, and I also actually gave it a 6.
I got Dana's score too, real quick. Her favorite kill was the heat lamps. Least favorite kill was the kitten, and she gave the movie an 8.
Well, IMDb has it at a 6.2, and Letterboxd has it at a 2.8. Rotten Tomatoes, whereas they were not kind, 16%.
Damn.
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah. A lot of criticism just saying, it's uninspired, it's cliche, it's typical, and those are valid.
I mean, yeah, sometimes mindless movies, that it's not bad. I want to watch a mindless movie sometimes. So
Yeah.
I get it. It's fun.
Yeah, I get it. Dana, we appreciate you donating, choosing Untraceable. It was a good one. And speaking of blood donors, let's give them a shout out. And we're going to be kicking off a free thing month next month. Brian, you can announce your pick to blood donors. We really appreciate y'all. Camper level reoccurring Nina, the Horror Movie Crew podcast, Michelle Mirza, Chris Manley, and Steve Schmidt. Camp counselor reoccurring Edwin Hernandez Gunn, Joe Swinford, Adrian Aiello, Brian Samick, Andrew Ferguson, Brooke Maley, Heather Superdoc, Jennifer Davis Too Close to Home Pod, Dana Tucker, Cole McAlexander, Max K, Madison Arzola, and K Smith. Really appreciate y'all for donating. It does take a huge burden off of us. Go over to Instagram. I'm doing a Nosferatu digital code giveaway. All you got to do is follow us, like the post, and comment a vampire emoji. Brian, that's your pick for next week. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, we've done Alien. We've done Aliens. So let's pick the movie that slots right there in third in the little franchise if you're going chronologically. I went with Alien Romulus, Fede Alvarez. We did an instant reaction, I think, to this, or I know I wasn't in on that one, but I know you guys did. I know we've talked about it in our rankings. Go listen to our interview with Trevor Newland, who plays a xenomorph in the movie. He talks a lot of good stuff about the movie too. Check it out. I'm excited.
Me too.
Me too. It's the only movie in the franchise that's enjoyable, so I'm excited too.
You only have to worry about me picking one more, and then I'll be done with the Alien franchise because it's the only other one that exists.
Alien vs. Predator? First Predator?
No, Alien 3. I don't like Alien vs. Predator anymore.
Prometheus.
Oh, I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Hey, shout out Michael Fassbender, baby.
I hate to say it, but it feels like only the pretentious film people like Prometheus. But anyway, we appreciate you listening. We'll be back next week.
That's not
to say it.
That's not true because I don't.
I'm talking about like the Seth film reviews of the world on TikTok. They love Prometheus all of a sudden.
Sorry, Matt Sears.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, take care of yourself.
Just want to remind everybody.